Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aspire Inspire Show. This is a place where we'll chat about tech, careers, and everything in between. And it's especially for those who are studying tech courses, grads, and early career professionals in IT world. I'm your host, Vidu, and I am super excited because this is the very first episode of Aspire Inspire Show. And we are diving straight into an important topic, artificial intelligence, and what does it mean for future of jobs. To understand this, today I have an amazing guest, George Coldham. He is a cloud solution architect at Microsoft and a great mentor and educator in tech space. So let's dive in and see what does it mean and how the future might look like with AI and with us in it. So George, welcome to my show. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Vito. I was really honored for you to invite me to come and share my thoughts with your audience. And I'm really excited to be able to share my view on AI and what it means for the future and for anyone who's it's such a big shift that even though we're going to be largely talking about entry level jobs and
Yeah,
people
yeah,
moving into the industry, it's going to
yeah,
apply to every single person because
yeah.
it's a real leveler of the playing field, and it's it's augmenting us in ways that we don't even realize yet. So yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we are going to get into this
Mm.
today, from what's actually happening in AI in the industry to what skills are still in demand, and how tech students or grads can position themselves for the jobs of tomorrow. But let's start with my first question about AI replacing jobs, because that's what the top concern among students. So, from your perspective, how much of this concern is grounded in reality versus being driven by, media hype?
It's a great question. The media thrives on causing people to be scared, right?
Yeah,
Because that gets clicks, and if it's just a mild like AI is okay, then you're going to look at it and go, AI is okay, and move on, right? So they want to have that sensationalized headline. And I think just as a general principle, media will try and sensationalize many things. And the sooner you understand that, then the better you'll be able to evaluate the things in front of you. So
yeah.
I know we're talking about AI, but just take that as a general principle if you're a young person listening from an old person speaking.
I would
But
say from
with the
experienced person speaking.
but specifically to whether or not AI is going to be taking our jobs or make it impossible for an entry level job, I don't
Mhm.
believe so. But as with all changes of technology, I think you need to still be prepared to be adaptable and change.
Yep, yep.
I like, yeah, I remember there was discussion around just computer hardware. You know, it used to be that you'd be able to replace components and build it
Mhm.
yourself, and you still can with, say, gaming devices. But a lot of the new devices now, everything is soldered on, so
Yeah,
you don't necessarily fix anymore. And people were saying, well, this is going to be the end of the computer technician, or this is going to be the end of recycle and repair. But it hasn't panned out. It has changed.
yeah,
But yeah, it hasn't.
yeah. It has evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
AI
and
is different a little bit though. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah. That.
with these other changes, it didn't introduce like a new entity that was able to sort of do the things that a junior workplace or a junior staff member would be able to do.
Mhm.
And the rate of change and the level of intelligence that they're able to get out of AI is very intimidating.
Mhm.
Um, just this morning, I read an article where Sam Altman, who's the Altman, is the CEO of OpenAI. He was talking
Mhm.
about their agentic solutions
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how the agents are able to do simple type of activities, And these are the sorts of activities that a junior would typically be employed to do, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think you can have your own personal assistant if you can create an agent, AI agent for you using
Yeah,
that
no,
technology.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of sort of business advantage in using AI agents
Hmm.
because they don't need to sleep. They can scale infinitely.
Yeah.
They're always friendly and polite. You can simply upload new knowledge or upload a new file and it will reference it as knowledge. So operationally and in terms of a business process, there's many advantages to it because humans are human. But I don't think society is ready for only interacting with AI. All right. So
Yeah.
humans are always going to be needed. It's just that
Mm.
the role will change now. It was, the junior before would step into a role and kind of cut their teeth on stuff that doesn't have a lot of consequence if they do it wrong. Because to be honest, like a junior, with all the love in my heart, you're pretty useless, right? It takes a while for you to learn how to be useful. And that's not a judgment on your character. That's just a judgment on your ability to function in a workplace, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
Totally
it's
makes
really
sense.
important for you to do work experience if you can get it, or volunteer, just so you can build a little bit of business knowledge. And business knowledge doesn't mean how to make sales, it just means how to talk to people or how to
Yep.
reply to an email, and all of these really human skills that you only learn in like an enterprise or commercial environment or a
Yep.
volunteering environment. So the AI is going to potentially replace a lot of the repetitive, simple to do type jobs.
Yep.
But there will be times when either a business is not, it's just not tolerable or it's not ready for them. So there'll still be the entry level positions there,
Mm-hmm.
or the types of knowledge that you'll need to learn will need to change. So
Yep.
you'll need
Okay.
to understand how to use the AI or how to manage the AI or how to improve the AI
Mm-hmm.
rather than, well, the AI is doing what I can do. Well, yeah, sure. But someone still needs to create the agent.
Hmm.
Um, Someone still needs to be there in case the agent cannot answer the query.
Yep.
There's a lot of knowledge that you can gain on using agents that would make you useful to organizations that don't have AI. So
Mm-hmm.
your entry level role won't necessarily be the data entry or the customer service or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the typical entry role is now. Maybe it'll be the implementer of the AI. And
So you think like the junior roles, like junior developer or IT support, would they still be a viable starting point?
yeah, or you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, like when I
And
teach cybersecurity students, they often ask me like about entry level jobs. So I ask them to start with like IT support role in the
yes,
beginning. So very junior level work will be replaced by AI. So where should they start?
I don't think it'll be replaced. I think it'll be augmented or supplemented.
Hmm.
All right. So
Yeah.
they'll still have they'll be less, which unfortunately means there might be more competition, right? But
Hmm.
I,
Right.
I, I don't I don't I don't 100% believe that though,
Mm-hmm.
because there's always, or not always, there has been recently over the last 5-10 years like a perpetual cry of a skills shortage, right?
Yeah.
Not enough talented staff, not enough people entering the workforce with the right skills to meet the projected need, right?
Mhm.
Australia doesn't produce that many graduates when you look across um, the university and the TAFE sector. So even if there are every single person who enters exits successfully, because that also doesn't happen, there would still be potentially more roles needed than
Mm-hmm.
roles like the people for it. Now, those roles where there's the gap is
Mm-hmm.
not always going to be an entry level position. right?
Ah,
So the
yeah.
business is also going to have to come up with their own strategy as to how they're going to fill the roles and how they're going to build capability,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to be honest, the AI can actually assist with that because whilst the agents are there to be able to do the routine, sometimes you still need to have the creativity of a human driving the AI or working in partnership with. You know, Microsoft has called all of its AI Copilot, and that's
Yeah.
intentional because we don't think that AI will replace you.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's a saying that I see a lot, and that is AI won't replace you. Someone using AI will replace you,
Yeah.
right? So even if you're the world's best cybersecurity graduate,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you don't potentially know how to leverage AI to further your learning,
Mm-hmm.
and leverage AI in to supplement what you do, then you'll still
Mm-hmm.
be on the back foot.
Yep. Yep. So talking about Copilot, we also have seen GitHub Copilot. So having that into picture, do you think students still need to learn to code from scratch? What's your take on this?
If you asked me this question 3 weeks ago, I would have answered it quite differently. But there's
Mm-hmm.
been quite a lot of movement in the industry with announcements from big vendors. So Microsoft had Build, where they had GitHub Copilot agents being announced. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you can have an issue in your GitHub repository and assign it to an agent. The agent will go through and update the code and then create a pull request for the human to review it. So there's still a human in the loop, but the agent will
Hmm.
go through and fix the problem without a human interaction.
Yeah.
There was
Okay.
another demo where they took um, an API connection to Figma, which is a tool used to draw UI elements, and
Hmm.
the agent was able to connect to Figma, get the view, and create the functional website from the UI element automatically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty compelling that a lot of
Hmm.
developers won't be needed.
Yeah.
Um,
But that human who's still in the loop for that entire agent journey, so that
yes.
person still need to understand the basic coding. What do you think? Because me teaching,
Yes.
like I was teaching Python, so
Yeah.
students still need to learn that, right?
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly, because you have to validate it, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
know how to ask, and um, the 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 pull request will have code for you to see, and then you have to say whether or not it is actually correct. Now, it's probably correct, but you still have to be able
Hmm.
to validate it.
Yeah.
There's this thing called vibe coding. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but it's where you talk to the AI and just code. Hey, I think it'd be great if this was green. How about we do a drop down
Uh,
box here? And the AI just does it. So that is vibe coding. But at the moment, it still creates some pretty bloated code, right? Having like a
hmm.
really good software foundation means that you'd be able to understand whether or not this fits and it's how it should be. All right.
Yeah.
So that's just Microsoft.
Hmm.
OpenAI has released Codex, which they're using with their internal developers to iterate their project faster. So
Hmm.
it's at a useful level. And Google also released a thing called Jules, which is
Yeah.
your own personal coding assistant, right? So if the three
Yeah.
big tech vendors are all releasing um, these, then it doesn't bode well if you think that you're going to be able to compete with other organizations just by writing your own code. So
Hmm.
what an entry level developer needs to do is become expert at writing code with the help of the assistant.
Yep.
Humans
Yep.
are always going to be in the loop,
Hmm.
but you need to be able to not only understand the language, but you have to understand how to use the AI to get the best out of it. And
Yeah.
that's what an entry level person would look like.
Yeah. Certainly makes sense. Um, talking about the consultants, like grad consultants normally get hired in big fours and all. So their day-to-day job has use of PowerPoint a lot or Excel a lot. But seeing all these viral posts recently on RIP PowerPoint or AI replacing Excel skills. So do you think these traditional office tools generally becoming obsolete?
No, I think the interface to using these tools will change quite a bit, and that will be to be
Mm.
leveraging the AI. I don't think the tool itself will be obsolete. And sometimes it feels easier to just do it without using AI, but maybe that's because the AI model in the tool, like if it's in Word or PowerPoint, isn't getting your intent well enough. Because a lot of the
Mm.
time with the prompt, you have to be really clear with your intention. And as humans, we live in our head, we think, and then we just go, and then do the last bit. So we've got all the context in our head to understand what we really mean, and we only
Mm.
do the distilled output onto the prompt, and then we expect the AI to understand what we've been thinking about for 2 hours. All right. So
Yeah.
I think that the interface with how we interact with these tools is going to change. It's agents will definitely take a lot of that load of like drafting documentation, especially if it's like template based, uses a lot of company IP, or if you're in Excel, you could use Copilot to write advanced analysis. Like Excel uses Python now, and our Copilot understands Python really well, so we can write Python in Excel to do advanced analysis of like a really large table of data, right? And to be honest, I don't know that there's a lot of people using Excel with Python at the moment. There might have been like some Visual Studio or writing macros and stuff, but like this
Yeah.
advanced analysis, you
Mm.
already had to be fairly technical. But if you're technical in that way, you probably weren't doing Excel. You're probably using other mechanisms. So I
Yeah.
see the Copilot being embedded in these as um, an augment again to allow you to use the tools better. Um,
Mm.
but the using the tools is sometimes used because that's what's available, right?
Mm.
And with the image generation stuff, or Google released Neo 3, I think it was called.
Okay.
And there's also Sora by OpenAI, where you can take text to
Mm.
video, right? So the Google one does text to video, and you can give it a script, and it will create a voice and sync the voice to the video and whatnot. So maybe you would have a compelling presentation where instead of the podcast being us two humans, we ask an AI to write a script and to create two talking heads and to do the podcast. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's and the real winners in the future, whether they're students or whatnot, are the real entrepreneurial ones who think a little bit differently and can find novel ways to use the tools that other people aren't using it,
Mm.
and they'll get a competitive edge. And there's no age, there's no gender, there's no
Mm.
financial. All of this is like freely available. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
had to, you could go to a public library,
Yeah.
use one of their computers, use a free account that you can create so you can sign in and
Mm.
just start using these tools. So the only reason why people won't do it is because they're not backing themselves, they don't believe in themselves, they don't have the time, or they're not prioritizing, because everyone's got the same 24 hours. But I
Yeah.
accept not everyone has the same responsibilities.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree with you. So, like you just gave an example on two heads talking to each other, like AI heads, I would say. But I would still love to talk to people like in real.
Mm,
So that brings to my next question, which is quite funny. Like recently, I saw Tony
mm.
Robbins, who launched an AI version of himself. Did you see that?
I
That
haven't. I
answers
saw the
questions.
the question. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
it answers questions 24/7. So when like thought leaders can replicate themselves through AI, what do you think like technical writers or consultants? What does that mean for them? Is it
Well,
is it going to be a future?
nah, I think it's a bit gimmicky. I
Yeah,
do think that it's still a wonderful resource, and I'll gladly go and have a conversation with virtual Tony, but the knowledge is static at a point in time unless he's going to always go back and update what he knows into a model somehow. And
yeah,
the an AI model, unless it is connected to other systems, doesn't actually have an awareness outside of itself. So
mm,
the value that a human has is we can sit in the room or be on a Teams call and ask questions to get context and still
mm,
be like aware of other things going on in our global environment, or um, just, you could do some research on the company beforehand. Like, we've got a whole different process. And to be honest, if you have a human process, you can still make an AI process based on that human process. So you
yeah,
could still, like, say, before you have this meeting, search the news for updates, look on LinkedIn, do all these 5 things to get some contextual information. So it can all be
yeah,
automated away. But um, that talking head, Tony, they're probably not going to go to that effort, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's
true.
just a way of scaling his brand. And he's already got like a whole published library of information that they would have fed in. And that's what he'll be responding from. It's not like he's going to be sitting there going, oh, that answer was a bit poor, and go and update the knowledge. And if he does, I'm really sorry for underestimating your dedication to the talking head, Tony. But I feel like he would have better things to do with his time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I totally believe human skills are still irreplaceable, as you said, by technology. But how can young professionals double down on uniquely human skills that AI cannot replace?
They need to learn how to speak
Yeah,
publicly,
yeah,
right? They need to learn how to think critically. So back
exactly.
to the point where I was saying, the media sensationalizes. They need to learn how to focus and pay attention, because, and I'm totally guilty of it, and even see a change. If I sit there scrolling on TikToks or Reels or Shorts or any of the above, it changes your attention span. And then you go to read a book and you're like, oh, I'm on the same page still. So be really mindful of how you consume information. Even with Build, they've got generally 2 lengths of videos on YouTube, 15 minutes or an hour, and I'm always preferencing the 15 minutes because the thought of committing to a video for an hour is a lot for me. But
Yeah,
I'm lucky, I'm already established in my career. I can come up with strategies that work for me to learn.
yeah,
And I've already built the ability to speak, to think critically, um, to write. And even though an AI can do all of that, the way that AI works is it's not an original thought. However,
mm,
Sam Altman did say that with his agents, they think that in the near future, they'll start to create new knowledge. And then
mm,
again, another competitive advantage lost, right?
yeah,
So, a lot of big statements are made frequently. I wouldn't sort of give up and lose hope and think, okay, well, I'm just going to have to make pizzas for a living, because they'll probably make an AI to do pizzas, like a robot, automated one, delivery by drone, and you own a franchise just by, purchasing all the equipment, right? So,
yeah,
um, lean into the things that make you human. Um, lean into, like, an AI might be able to flatter you and make you feel good, right? And they've got all of these apps which are like the AI relationship based apps and stuff like that. So they're definitely capitalizing on people's loneliness and stuff like that, right?
yeah,
But it's hollow. It's never going to be like a real genuine human interaction. So it might be like a short term band aid.
yeah,
Um, but like being able to interact with other people as humans is going to be invaluable, because an AI will never be able to do that. So it's going to be hard to trust the AI because you don't know who made it. but you can trust a human because you can interact with them and get a gauge on their character and see if they follow through with the things that they said that they'll do, and how they treat other people around you. And, like there's all of these things that you'll be able to
Yeah.
do. So be that sort of person that's trustworthy and honest and has good character, which I'm sure, if you're watching something like this, you would be. But
Yeah.
they're the advantages that we'll have as humans over AI. I think that's just my view, my philosophy. Um,
Yeah, it's really good that young professionals should know about this and do not underestimate human skills
mm,
in this age of AI. So, if you were graduating today, how would you personally prepare for a tech career in this age of AI?
wow, there's so much opportunity because it's like the Wild West. So when the internet first came, I was old enough, but I wasn't mature enough in technology. I was still just playing games, right? And it would have been like this Wild West where there was all of these services that were not being met. So you could just have like a really crappy service. Can you imagine what the first webmail service would have been like compared to Gmail or Outlook now? It would have been really average, but it's still better than anything else, right? So
Yeah.
with AI, there's going to be all of these less optimal solutions, and a student can make them,
Yeah.
and you're even better positioned to make them. Like a startup is perfectly placed to disrupt an incumbent, because an incumbent like Microsoft has to move slower with the AI stuff because we've got a lot of reputation and trust to maintain. So even OpenAI as a newer business doesn't have to move at the same speed as us. They can move faster. And if they do something and lose a little bit of trust, or, make people wary of them,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not like, oh well, like it's bad for the business. But like if people lose trust in Microsoft, then it's not just the AI product they lose trust in. They lose trust in Office 365 and Azure
Yeah.
and Windows, and you know what I mean? So we have to
Yeah.
maintain our trust so much more. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're a student, you don't have any of these barriers. You just have access to tools and this huge imagination. I hope you've got an imagination. It's not just like, 15 seconds long. And then you can just create, and create using free tools that are useful. And then use the platforms that you're familiar with to talk about these free tools and get other people to use them. And then now you've created a startup. And
Mm.
even if that startup never makes a cent, if you were going for a job interview and said, well, I created this AI solution that 10,000 users were using, um, then you're going to be so much more interesting than I graduated TAFE and I got a competency in my 12 units. You know what I mean? Like there's everyone
Yeah.
who studies going to have the same piece of paper.
Same. Yeah.
And even
Exactly.
if your grades are like, if you're at TAFE, you've passed. If you're at uni, you might have like a high distinction average. You might have a credit average, but that's not really that important. I mean, it can be, but generally it's not, unless it's not the big four. So if you've got the curiosity to take your skills and apply it with AI, and then
Mm-hmm.
build something that other people use and find useful, and then can talk about it. Maybe you create your website, even if it is using an agent,
Yeah.
and you populate the content and market that. You might never need to get a job if you do that well enough, right? You've just started a successful business and you've become an entrepreneur. Or B, when you do go, you'll have already solved so many problems that graduates have never even thought about, that when you get to your job, it'll be easier and you'll be able to do it better. All right. So um, I think with all of the tools available to us these days, to not at least try and have a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like 1,000 ideas in my mind, and I'm so time poor, but I'm still trying to do them because no person's job is forever, right? So whether it's your first job, or me, if I had to get another job in a few years' time, I'll still have the same anxieties, and I want to give myself all of the same competitive advantages, right? So um, just being new doesn't make you special like that. So do as much as you can, um, and always get on board with new technology. So we're talking about AI now. Um, what it will be in 5 years, I've no idea. AI is like, as we've seen AI, it's only really been around since 22, 23, somewhere around there. I
Yeah,
forget.
yeah.
Mm.
So I'm 100% sure students must have learned a lot from you today. But before we wrap up today's interesting talk, what's the one key mindset or career strategy you would recommend every student adopt to thrive in this AI integrated future?
So you have to learn to back yourself and to lean into things that you're uncomfortable with, right?
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with failure, because anytime you try to do something for the first time, it's unlikely to be perfect. It's probably not even going to be good, right? Being honest about it. And, you know, our memory is kind because we don't remember every bad thing that's happened. We tend to remember the really good things, but not the bad things. I'm not sure. I know that I don't, and probably most people don't remember learning to walk. But I bet you didn't just decide one day to sit up and then get up on your feet and start sprinting. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just learn to be patient with yourself, but not scared of things you don't understand, and just lean in and understand that even if you're studying to go into a job, you're probably not going to do that job for the rest of your career. There was like, I don't even know what the current stat is, but in about 10 or 15 years ago, the stat was 15 different jobs over your lifetime, over your career.
Hmm.
And they're not even guaranteed to be in the same industry or the same vertical. So,
Hmm.
just don't think that your decisions are binding. Don't think that, oh, I'm now the developer, I'm going into an entry level developer job. There's like this role called a product manager, and you
Mhm.
oversee teams of developers, or you might own a feature. I honestly think, and I'm stealing an idea from my friend Michelle, that the developers may become product managers and product managers may not, because the product manager can still understand, or the developer can still understand code in a way that the product manager can't. So if you
Yeah.
can get an agent to go through and develop for you, then as a product manager, you're still managing the sprints, you're still managing the sections of code that's being developed, or the features that are being implemented. You're still making sure it's tested appropriately. You're still making sure it meets the requirements of the business, and you're
Yeah.
just now allocating that to an agent to do it for you. So a product manager's agent is a human developer. So a human developer can be the product manager responsible to an AI agent,
Mhm.
and have that ability. And there's always going to be people who just want to write code because they think it's fun. And you'll probably be able to find jobs in some businesses, like small businesses might not be able to afford to get into AI type technologies, because there is a little bit of a cost to use it in a commercial sense. Don't use what I've just said as a reason for you not to experiment, because you can get Copilot for free, you can get GitHub Copilot for free, you can get ChatGPT for free, you can get into Google and use Notebook LM and all of the Gemini type stuff for free. If you've got
Yeah.
a even sort of new computer, you can use Foundry Local, which was announced 3 weeks ago, or Olama, or um, LM
This.
Studio. There's
Yeah.
so many that you could do it on your computer without an internet connection. All right, so
Yeah.
there's only excuses that are stopping you from doing this, and just be curious and accept that you don't know everything, but you're curious to learn everything, and then follow the curiosity.
Awesome, awesome. That's the great way to end this podcast. George, thank you so much for joining us. It's been incredible having your insights today, and I'm sure our listeners are walking away with whole new perspective on AI and their future in tech. So, thank you.
No, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking about it, and if any of your listeners have any questions, then they feel free to find me. I'm sure Video will put my contact details somewhere so you can reach out, and yeah,
Yeah,
just have a chat, and yeah, we'll go from there.
yeah, I'll definitely put that in the description.
And that's the wrap for our very first episode of Aspire Inspire Show. So, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We have got more great conversations lined up, all focused on helping you build your path in tech. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay curious and keep learning.